All right, YouTube family, for there and back again, a fatness story. So I am going to answer some questions. The next videos are going to be a little bit of longer videos. They're a little bit more, I'm hoping, educational. They're more, maybe potentially motivational too. But they should definitely help as far as education-wise. And they're solid questions. They're questions, it's kind of weird having gone through this process myself and on multiple occasions and having changed this back and forth. I even joked about being the king of yo-yo dieting because, and I know that's not true, that's like an exaggeration for sure. There's people who've done it far more than 2 or 3 times, and it just feels that way, right? You feel like, man, I should be an expert at like teaching people how to yo-yo because that's something you definitely have done. But that's also taking out of context is not necessarily fully true. I was chubbier starting, like that's my homeostasis kind of genetically, and also like environmentally, the way I was brought up with like high carbs and stress eating, and food was kind of like a weird topic, and it was always needed in a weird way, and maybe not, I don't know, that goes into a rabbit hole, but so the question I'm going to be answering today is, how do you stop yo-yo dieting? And that is the question of the day. And I was trying to think of like some helpful tips that would be the most helpful, because we all know we have to diet, exercise, right? Move more, eat less, or both, right? But that's not as helpful as I would like to be, as far as like, what does it really take to stop yo-yo dieting? And so I had to stop and ask myself, why have I yo-yoed and gone back? So that's kind of what I want to go into. So I just realized I can't turn the camera around when it's recording. Interesting. Well, I'll get an idea. I'll show you an idea. So I had to do a lot of changing. I'm going to make this a little bigger. In order to get to where I want to be. And there had to be a lot of identity shifting and self-talk. So the 3 points I'm going to go on is the self-talk, your shifting of your identity, and the third one is evolving you or your goal to keep up with a level of consistency, to keep it maintainable, sustainable. So this is a video. I'm not sure if you can see that. There you go. So that's high school me, sophomore. And so that's what you have to start off with. And this person, and this was like not my best shape before, this person was like active, but didn't like dieting, didn't think he could really change genetics. And because of that level of self-talk, we're like, I'm just kind of the chubby brother. I'm not sure if you saw there, but I have a brother, and I'm like, I've just been the chubby brother always. His nickname in Spanish is skinny boy. So you can bet what that made me. So he was flaco, right? And I was definitely not flaco. So that's kind of what I always believed. And I wasn't out of shape necessarily, like obese or obtuse as I'm about to become, but he was definitely always skinnier. It was a little bit easier for him to stay that way. And because of that self-talk, especially with the long hair, it's like, you're big, you're thick. I had picked up weightlifting, and I definitely wasn't good at running. And so that was something I told myself, I'm not good at running. So what can you be good at? And I found out that when you're bigger, It's a little bit easier to lift weight. Explosive, short bursts of energy. And so I didn't become a sprinter, but I became instead a lifter. And so I got really matured. My titties, my chest grew a lot faster, and to the point when in gym class I was a really strong bencher. For you got to think back nowadays. Back then it was like 8th graders and 9th graders, right? Or even 7th graders. So and I picked up my first dumbbells at my parents bought me some as a gift when I was 9 years old. So I was always like a little eccentric when it comes to like wanting to have big arms, look good, look bigger. And but I was always telling myself, but you're the fat brother. You're the fat, chubby friend. You're just that chubby friend that's just kind of, you're just there. And that's just kind of what it is. You're always going to be the chubby friend. And that I was cool. I was good with it. I took it like a champ. And that same self-talk, even though I was creating good habits and changing, that self-talk will change you. And that's why I put it as number one, because your identity can shift depending on your self-talk. So fast forward to that self-talk, and now I've become more closer to what this is, something you might recognize. So that's me, right? And I became the fat friend, the chubby brother, and I finally became that not... That's my favorite because I'm like so round. I'm like a perfect orb. If you would see what's underneath that, it's amazingness hidden under it. And I'm just a happy, plump, chubby guy. And I'm not too far from that right now, honestly. I was actually same weight, just different body composition. As I'm recording this today, April 15th, Friday, I am down 10 pounds from my starting weight. And it's been a week since, like, serious cut, which I had already lost 2 pounds by then, which is like water fluctuation. But now I'm down 10, so I'm now from 247, I'm now 236, 237.0, 236 after the bathroom, and the morning porcelain visit. So yeah, so my self-talk, anyways, was, you are this, you're the chubby guy. And I kind of just had to give up, I chose to give up on physically, on being the benching Ben, the tough, strong one. I couldn't work out during this. And I just, became like just blubber in motion. Here we go. Here's a blubber in motion. So there I am trying my best. Someone just juked me. And that's the residue. It took 5 minutes for me to get out of that position. It was long enough for them to take a picture of me. And I still let the ball escape. So that's me. And I stuck to that mentality for a long time, saying, I just can't change. This, I actually, if you can notice, that's my sister. I started losing weight because I was going to go home, and my identity was shifting. Hey, you're benching Ben. You're no longer this chubby, plump, nice, friendly dude. This perfect orb, jolly, good fellow. Like, I was like the Santa Claus of the group during that time. It was 2 years of that, by the way. And so I decided the last month to really hit it cardio-wise and diet as best you can. And so I did. I lost a good amount of weight. I think I ended up losing like 20 pounds or so. And that's the residue of that. 30 maybe even. 20 probably. And I remember I ran a 6 point, like, it was really impressive. It was in the 6 minute mile. So I was happy because I'm pretty sure it's a mile. Yeah, the 4 laps. Yeah, so it was pretty impressive for a fat, out of shape guy who hasn't done running in a while. But I was changing my identity, right? My self-talk was saying, hey, you are going to be this when you're back to normal life, or you need a job, a girlfriend. You need to start shaping up and changing yourself. So I did. I started changing, but it was very nasty. Like, it was a cold reality when I came to. My friends were all skinnier, and once again, I was the chubby friend. So I come home, And there I am. I'm that far one, actually kind of in the middle, with the huge tan line. We both have tan lines, but you can tell genetically who's gifted, who kept it throughout the time there. He also did one of those 2-year things called an ecclesiastical mission, and he looks great. I mean, freak, look at him. And we went at the same time, 1 month difference. And this is me after losing 20 or 30 pounds. So if you can get a real close look, like the love handles, the titties, the no shape in arms and shoulders, the thunder thighs were strong. And I was once again the chubby friend. So one thing that's kind of weird and good in a sense, that friend that you see there in that picture, he would like consistently, this was before and this way, help me in a weird negative way, positive, like I turned into positive. He would grab like my love handles, my back fat, or my tits, and my chub, and like it's almost like a reminder. And I got so annoyed with that I finally said to myself, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to give him like the fat to grab anymore, because it was just like we'd get in an argument and it was like his go-to, like, you know, if I was winning an argument, and then he was just like, well, like, you got fat, like, you have this fat though, so sorry. And he'd like pinch me and remind me. So I started working out and I started dieting. More importantly, I started learning, and I tried every diet under the sun for the most part. I can't say every single diet, but I did try vegetarian, vegan. I tried keto, intermittent fasting, and I did them for a long time. Low carb, Atkins, and this was before keto also was pretty cool, or popular, I should say. And I started moving more, and I kept to the running since I was doing that. I was never a runner, so my self-talk changed, and I started saying, I love running. And I started saying that, like, this is good for me. That's if you start like with your self-talk too drastic, you'll be like, bullshit. You know, like, that's false. You don't love running. But I kept on saying things like, it's good for me. This is going to help me change. So I need to do this if I want X, Y, and Z. For then it was like, so I can feel better about myself, so I can stop having fat to be pinched, so I can potentially get more eyes, like from girls, right? Because I was definitely interested in girls. So I stuck to it a year, right? And a year so later, after my bulbous Dumbledore, this was me. And I was sticking to downstairs workouts and doing P90X. And you can see a drastic change, right? I actually have some face shape. The titties are less round and they got some shape to them, and really no shape in the arms, just skinny. And I was a skinny fat at this point. And I had even like kind of an hourglass still, because I still had some love handles, back fat, and some bottom pooch, no abs. And I would consistently look in the mirror and lift up my shirt and be like, oh, I got abs, that's my nipple. And I would like, do this, and I would like imagine abs. And I'd sit there and I'd picture the abs, a perfect six-pack, what it would look like. And I would do that after every workout. Even though, especially in the beginning, it was just straight up fat, and only fat, and pasty white fat with moles and hairs, and I kept to it, right? And that was one of the biggest things, that self-talk was like, no, I need to do this. This is going to help me. Like, this is good for you. This is healthy for you. And at that, before, I was like pre-diabetic. I was like struggling. It was just, everything was hard. So I started changing, and I take it up a notch, right? I start really realizing that I'm a completely different human now. People started treating me differently, which is one thing you don't think. It's so sad, but we're shallow. So respect. I got respect. People were like, wow, there's someone who takes care of themselves. There's someone who just puts in the work, I guess, and they just treated you differently. And that's all because I treated myself differently first. So I started talking to myself differently. That's why it's number one. Sorry, this is going to be a longer video. I promise I'll get to the point, though. So I started working out. These are called Spartan races. Remember, I changed my self-talk. One, I like running. I like running first, but it was like, I need running. This is good for you. This is going to help you achieve your goals. This is a must to achieve your goals. That's actually what I'd say. But, and then eventually it becomes more and more of a habit. And then you want to set new goals. And then that becomes part of your identity because you've done it for so long. Like, yeah, I guess I'm a runner. I do it every day. And at this point, I'm an extremist. So I would run a lot thinking I just need to burn more calories, you know? And so I started doing like half marathon lanes. And so this was a half marathon obstacle course called the Spartan race. It's Spartan Beast. We ended up doing the sprint also. But I completely changed. This was a different human. This is a person who loves himself, honestly. This is someone who takes care of himself first, so then he can take care of other people to his best. And I became a new me. This is me and my friend. We went, to Zion's. That's something here in Utah. It's like Moab. You have so we went to Zion's in Moab. It's just pretty much hikes. And you can see now, body composition wise, I'm a lot smaller, right? But we're now more even when it comes to body fat. And to be honest, even in this picture, to make sure I didn't have any of that extra bottom fat, if you look closely here, I am pushing my pockets out. You can almost see like my hands here because I want to make sure it's not touching my belly. So even then I was a little self-conscious, and that's part of that self-identity. I was like, you always kind of see yourself fat for a while until the first time I saw my abs. And that's when it changed. I saw a little 2-pack right above my, right between my tits and underneath my ribs, kind of in between. And that's when I'm like, holy crap, you are different now. Like, that's when it hit me. So I started talking to myself differently. Now the runner, I've always loved lifting weights, and that was a natural thing. And I never really stopped doing it. I just wasn't as strong. So I started incorporating that more again and evened out the running. So I was like a happy balance. So now people were like, whoa, you work out. Not I bodybuild, but you work out. So I was I was a gym goer. So people would look at me like, dude, you lift. Like, that's pretty much it. You take care of yourself. And then plus I could run. So it was a bonus, plus and a plus. Because I did both. I don't know if you can see me there. That's our group. We did Tough Mudder there, I want to say. No, this is Spartan. Another Spartan. We did another Spartan Beast. That's a half marathon with obstacle course. And, I became this guy. And that's like when I'm saying, this is the body responded to what I was telling it. I'm a different human. I'm the guy who works out. Guys were calling me the jock. And I became a different person. I became someone fit, someone who could dress nice and feel nice in a dress suit. Instead of feeling, because now, and kind of like back when I was in good shape, I put on a suit and I'm like, dang, I make this look good kind of thing. Not really too bad, but it feels good. I don't feel like my neck's getting choked out. I don't feel like my pants, my muffin tops just showering over like a waterfall going down to my knees. I don't feel so restrained that when I sit down I think a button's gonna fly out. The zipper rolls down automatically. That happened, right? I was that fat. The button broke on me a few times, like the literal belt, the button. The belt itself would rip. It tore. The little hook thing would tear. I actually could dress up now. That's another benefit of taking care of yourself. You can do a lot more. And yeah, just keep on skipping. So I became that friend. That's also my head. Here's a Tough Mudder, right? But I became that guy who could hang with the fit guys, who was now everything I always wanted to be. I preached about working out a lot and dieting, but I wasn't really good at dieting. And the biggest thing that changed was just my self-talk, followed by my shift in my identity. And then I kept on changing and evolving my goals to keep it consistent. So what's the next race? When's the next challenge? And that's the biggest word, is when's the next challenge? Here's the Tough Mudder. look, if you can see here, I'm actually kind of bigger. I don't know if you can tell, like around here, right there. So I'm a little bit bigger now. I'm not as like skinny. I was thicker. So I was like, okay, like I am in shape. I'm good shape. I'm very strong. But now I want to take it down to a next level. So there's a Spartan race. And so that's what I began to do. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it to the next level. These races are fun, but I want to try a new challenge. So those are like some of the awards and medals you get. And I'm like, okay, now that I'm that guy, girls were looking at me now. You're not that guy. And I was being that Instagrammer before Instagram was cool, where you're just acting stupid in front of cameras. Right there, that's actually very big. Like, I went swimming. I would actually go tanning. I would sit out and tan. I'd go and try to swim and sit by the water. Something that I never did. Not once. The only time I did was in 7th grade. I wore a shirt to a pool party with all the cool kids there. And I was the only one wearing a shirt. And that's when I knew I was different. I was self-conscious. And the only like chubby kid. Even though there's chubby kids there, I was self-conscious about it. And it made me stick out big time. It's stupid. It was just so ridiculous. So anyways, change that self-talk. So I became this new guy, and I became, as you can see, just like I'd actually, that's one thing too, is like, I became more outgoing. Like, I actually did activities. I naturally wanted to do more activities. I wanted to put myself out there more, right? And I was okay to, shopping was easy. It didn't matter how I dressed. I knew, like, I could actually fit in it. And I may not feel the best always, but I could feel well in it. So this is the next chapter in my life where I'm like, you know what? I have been fit and so long, and I've been consistent enough with dieting and running. The gym could now increase. And then I'm like, what's a new kind of talk I can give myself an identity to? And people were starting to see that. They saw that whole change, especially at the local gym. I went from working out downstairs in the basement by myself to my brother joining, but I was still in the basement, to the rec center, to Planet Fitness, which is like for non, gym goers, I guess, like for people starting out, right? Then to Gold's Gym at the time. And people started saying, hey, you look like a bodybuilder. You look like you could bodybuild. And so that's, I'm like, holy crap. And I started looking at it. I'm like, I've always wanted to be that. That was only a dream, though. This is like back when I was in high school. You saw me with the long hair, big guy. I'm like, I always wanted to be a bodybuilder. And just to be able to say I stepped on a stage and be like pretty freaking lean. So this was the next phase of my life where I started to pursue that goal and identity. And I started changing my self-talk. And that's where you should start. So I started with, I am a fit guy. You are now a bodybuilder. And I don't know if you can tell there, sorry. I became a bodybuilder. In a sense, I took my fitness and my physique to a different level. That's all I did. I kept everything as it was and then just refined it, sharpened it, and did more homework on now, instead of how to run without getting shin splints. And, I changed my research in saying how to get abs, right? Because I had to do realistic goals slowly. So now my self-talk was, you're a bodybuilder. And, part of it was like you inspire people. That this is, you can't even see my abs in this. This is pointless. This is just my face shot. But there we go. We got a quad shot. But yeah, so I started to wanting to become, this guy. The guy that's like, you know what? You can be a bodybuilder. You can step on stage. So this is me. I ended up doing a bodybuilding show. So this is me post competition. And I did it. I finally got on stage. It was great. I took second place in my class, not overall, just in my class. And then, so not amazing, but just good. I like the fact that I showed up and stayed to it. It was a 6-month diet from what you saw, that skinny fat, to the guy with the abs. But this time it was like a lot of protein. It was just like intense, and that's whole different videos. So here I am, and I'm now a bodybuilder. People recognize me as that dude from the gym who's a bodybuilder, young guy, and like I said, I was more open to doing photo shoots, putting myself out there. This is like now me. I'm the bro of the roommates, and you saw me not too long ago. Like I didn't look so different. And yeah, I became that dude. I became the guy that, so veins came naturally to me, and the traps did. I shouldn't say naturally. I dreamed and prayed for veins. And then when I found out I actually have genetically really good squiggly veins, I say good veins because I've always wanted squiggly veins. If you look up a bodybuilder named Frank McGrath or something like that, Canadian, I was obsessed with his disgusting veins, and I ended up getting some. So there I was. I changed myself completely. I was now the bodybuilder, the bro, the uncle and the brother who just lifts and just like obsessed about working out, ultra fit. And my self-talk during all of this was essentially I respect myself. I love myself. I'll take care of myself, and I'm going to make things happen. So my mentality and self-talk was like, if I want it enough, I'll make it happen. And no matter the goal, as soon as I had finished stepping on stage, I realized that whatever you put your mind to, you can accomplish. And now we're here again, right? Because I stopped talking to myself that same way. Instead of saying, yeah, sure, I may not know how to do it, but I'll find a way. So it was never a lack of resources, because I was very poor growing up. But it was definitely a lack of resourcefulness until I decided to just find a way. I'll make it happen. So now I'm at this point where people are asking me to personal train them, and I had clientele, and I started working out like crazy, and met my wife, and just became a different human. I grew. I'm still nerdy, my nerdy self. But I can't express, I treated myself with so much respect, and I said, you know what, you do look good. You worked for this. You made it happen. You can make anything possible. Those are our workout buddies. By the way, some of the best friends you can create are at the gym. It just starts off like, hey, you see each other. You realize they're there with you struggling. They're there every day too. And all those guys, they weren't fat, but they all started somewhere, and they were all skinnier, less muscle bound. And they stuck with it. So they became like a little gym family. And to this day, we're still very close friends. And so, yeah, that's my face. That person loves himself, respects himself, and gets it done, makes it happen. This person is trying to remind himself that. Okay? That's why I'm acting this way. That's why I am totally going out on a whim and just hoping that tapping into my old self, changing my self-talk and changing my identity will allow me to become my new self, a new combined self, a better self, and someone that, I can be proud of. Like, hey, I worked for it, I made it happen, and I'm, something I've always dreamed of being, just that guy that can sport around abs, all year round. And that wasn't always a thing. Like I kept that body ever since that show. I allowed myself to get bigger, but never lose abs. And I kept a 6-pack for 10 years. So they say within the first 2-3 years, anyone who's I lost 65 pounds, by the way. So total lost 65 pounds from that to stage weight. And then my happy medium was around 170, 180s. And I kept that for 10 years. And then I started listening to the outside, to the naysayers, the people like, dude, like, this is not realistic. You can't keep this up. And I kept it up for 10 years. And I started listening to them, saying, they're right. How can you keep up, all this with work and life? And then you start having kids and family, stress. I listened to them. Don't do that. Listen to what you know you can do. And I listened to the outside naysayers. And so I took what skeleton action. I get really like Skeletor face and cheekbones. And yeah, so I started listening and I started changing. So you can see now there's more chub around the cheeks. And that's one of the first signs. Like I get fatter on the eyes and cheeks. And this coat that used to fit very nicely is like super tight. And my legs were like exploding out of the jeans. And that's like one of the last times I looked like I actually had a jaw and one chin. And I then full on listened to everyone else and boom. So this it cuts it off here, but I have now a wider body. I have more tittish. You can see here the abs have finally faded. I still have like shape to myself now. Like I said, my body composition has changed throughout started lifting when I was 9, but I started seriously lifting at the gym, and I would work out after the gym class when I was in 8th grade. So I definitely added the muscle over time and then stopped respecting myself and changed. Boom. Abs are now kind of what I remember seeing them when they began, where I'm like, I can kind of see them in the right lighting. If I focus really well or pull my skin tight. This is like a sad excuse for a 4-pack. It's fading once again. 4-pack fading. This was it before. And boom. Doesn't get better than that. I must have been sitting around 250 there. So I say 247 because that's the last time I was courageous enough to even weigh myself. I was definitely the heaviest there, though. It's not even my face. I mean, I'm pretty round, but not that round. And maybe the glasses just accentuate or whatever. I can't think of the word. Accentuate it. Yeah. And just a couple years before that, I was that. So just to get an idea of just right before that picture, that's us, right? And then that's the same people, same humans. Do you see the fat, the swelling around the eyes? I'm like sweating in my car. That's the face. There's the fatness. There's the body of a gorgeous man. And that was the old body. As you can see, like, the drastic change. And if you can tell, this time around, the cortisol fat was the biggest thing. It was like, I mean, my tummy, like, man, that grew. I just started listening to the stress, listening to the people who said, you know what, you suck, pretty much. You're fat. Everyone from childhood popped in my head. Hey, you're the chubby friend. You're the fat brother. And all that self-talk came back. Look at my titties. And I became, once again, the fat guy. But now I have muscle, so you're even just bigger. You're just fatter. And in clothes, it pushes out more. You're just fat. And when this was me just a couple years back from that. So it was just like really demoralizing. Look at those love handles. So like it was just sad. I'm actually doing like a back relaxed pose. My face. So that's us currently. We're on our way back. I know how to do it, and that's why I've helped people do it over the years. But I haven't been a good example myself. And I haven't even done what I preached. So I stopped calling myself a bodybuilder because I stopped practicing what I preached. And I thought it would be blasphemous to call myself a personal trainer too, let alone a bodybuilder. And so yeah, moral of the story, 35 minutes in. If you stuck around, in the chat, you can put in why. No, don't put in that. Put in Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid if you made it to the end. So, how do you spell Kool-Aid? Google it. It's with a K, all right? So, yeah, self-talk. First thing you want to do before you change your diet and all that, every day, even if you have to write it down, I have it recorded, my own voice, saying my affirmations or little things to myself, just because I was that far away mentally. And eventually you're en route, you can start saying that. It's a repetition, and it becomes a thing where you can start saying to yourself once again, like, I may not know everything, but I know I can get in shape. I know I can control what my hand does from my brain, right? Tells my gut, tells my hand to put in my mouth. I can control that. I can tell myself, really? Or can it change this? Or lessen this from this to this, maybe? You know, like, you can control that. And I started telling myself, you know what, I am a bodybuilder. I know so much more now. And I have so much more empathy for those who are chubby, who hate tying their shoes, who go for up the stairs or go for a small walk and you're like done for the day. Like energy drained. Like, I get that now. It is so hard to start sometimes. But when your self-talk starts changing and you're like, you know what? I know I can do hard things. I know that this is good for me. And I know that I can change for the better. You can start. Even those 3 affirmations you can do yourself. You can actually start changing. Then start realizing your identity must shift. So start changing your identity. Saying, whether it's a title, I'm a powerlifter. Now, you know, I'm a CrossFitter. I did that too for some time. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm a marathon runner. I'm a sprinter. I'm a guy, I love going on runs. Or I know runs are good for me. I'm a guy that works out. And you keep on saying it so much. Actually viewing yourself as that. And until you become it. And help your actions so you can actually become what you say you're wanting to become, your identity. And then from that, you start evolving your goals and saying, what's the next challenge? Instead of just plateauing and saying, I've reached my max, I've reached my goal, I would be like, sweet, all right, I want to try a new sport. Like, I'd say that's probably one of the best ideas. When I shifted from being a weightlifter to a marathon runner, that was one of the most challenging and exhilarating things I've ever done. And then from there, in between there was just to run, to become a habitual walker, actually, more than anything. And then walker, jogger, and then walk, and then runner eventually. And then eventually I was like, holy crap, I can run a mile. Holy crap, I can run 2 miles. Holy crap, 13 miles. And then a marathon, I can run 24 miles, 27 miles. Holy crap, it was just weird to know that what you tell yourself, you will listen to. And what you believe you are, if you still call yourself the chubby friend, the fat friend, the ugly friend, the whatever, you will think that, and you will believe it. So stop feeding yourself crap and start identifying with something that's 20 years old, whatever, 10 years old, 5 years old. Just change. Even a year old, 3 months ago. Change it now. And start evolving those goals. Be like, you know what? I'm going to get myself to walk outside. I'm going to do a 5-minute walk tomorrow. Today, right? I say tomorrow because the day is almost over. And that's what you do. You do 5 minutes. You literally put on your phone. You're like, you know what? I'm going on a walk. 5 minutes. That's it. If you have a dog, even better. I'm going to walk until he poos. Whatever. So 10, 15 minutes. And that's it. That's all the activity you do. Start doing. And that's when you start really doing, is when you start telling yourself differently. So I hope that helps. This was a super long video. I'm gonna have to get better at making this quicker and shorter. I hope it helped. I hope it was educational. I'm gonna get into nitpickies the more and more I go, as far as like diet, exercise, and I'm gonna be answering more questions for us beginners. And I say us beginners because I'm starting again too. So here we go. Believe it or not, I'm 10 pounds down, and I still just. This is one thing too, patience, and we'll go into that. People won't start noticing you've even changed until after maybe 20. If they have a good eye, 20 pounds for girls. For guys, maybe 25 pounds, 30. The big. You've lost weight, haven't you? Yeah, like 6 months ago, like whatever, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So, keep at it. Be patient. You can do it.